Whether you're an experienced dungeon master or running the game for the very first time, you've probably heard of a Session Zero. In case you haven't, it's generally a gathering of all of the players and DM before the campaign or adventure begins, where you can discuss what you're all getting yourselves into. You can find plenty of resources online about what to include, but in my opinion, many of those lists are too comprehensive. In doing just a small bit of research for this video, I found suggestions that your Session Zero should include all of this. If I sat down and tried to cover all of these topics with a new player, they might become so overwhelmed that they're turned off from the hobby before they even begin. Session Zero is a great tool, but what must be discussed before a campaign begins? What if I told you that a Session Zero only requires 2 topics? Hi, I'm Bryland, and as a DM of over 8 years, I've had my fair share of campaign starts. Today, I'm going to lay out what I consider the must-haves for a Session Zero are, as well as a few recommendations and tips. My first piece of advice that holds true for everything that I say in this video is that your Session Zero should be a conversation between you, the DM, and your players. Let's not forget that this is a collaborative hobby, and listening to the wants and opinions of your players is going to be crucial to a successful adventure. When running your Session Zero, in all of the topics that I'm about to go over, and all of the ones that I'm not, anything else that you decide to include, everybody will be more engaged and excited if you make it a conversation and not a lecture. I'm going to tell you the 2 things that I think are Session Zero requirements. These have subcategories, of course, and will hopefully lead to engaging conversations amongst the whole table. This very short list includes DM and player expectations, and boundaries. Now, before the internet comes at me with pitchforks, I want to go on the record by saying a Session Zero can, and probably should, talk about more than just these 2 topics. But that will be determined by what's important to you as a DM and to your players. For example, if you plan on running a tough, detail-oriented dungeon delve using the encumbrance rules and the slow healing system, you might feel the need to go over those things with your players in person. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by Session Zero, but I also don't want you to feel restricted. Use these 2 subjects as a starting point and go from there. Why do I consider these 2 things as requirements, whereas other important things, like character creation or a campaign pitch, I categorize as optional? Because with these 2 topics, more than any others, clear communication is key. These are subjects that you don't want to leave any question unanswered, with everyone present before you begin. Beginning a D&D campaign is, in many ways, entering a social contract for all parties, and these are the points that you want clearly laid out in that contract. DM expectations will include things like time commitment, table behavior, rulings and rule debates, and the ethics of collaborative storytelling, stuff like that. The expectations that the players will have for you may include preparedness, rule of cool rulings, house rules, and much more. Each player will come with their own expectations. With all of these laid out, you are setting the stage for a campaign where all of the players, DM included, are heard and understood. In a similar vein, talking about boundaries is how you ensure that everyone at the table feels safe. There could not be a more important talking point. What subject matter or behavior will you not allow at the table? Do your players have any phobias, triggers, or any discomforts that they'd like the campaign to steer clear of? What are the consequences if one of these lines are crossed? What is the protocol if something comes up that wasn't discussed beforehand, but still makes a player uncomfortable? While I think it's vital that these things are talked about in person, you may have a player who isn't comfortable voicing the things that make them break out loud in front of everybody. Use this moment as a DM, as the leader of your table, to make sure everyone knows that they can come to you in confidence. From there, it's your responsibility to make sure the game is not only an enjoyable experience for everyone, but also safe and inviting. Those are the 2 mandatory topics out of the way. But what else can you talk about in a Session Zero? I am of the opinion that you should pitch your campaign, your world, the adventure you're planning on running to players beforehand, even before the Session Zero. That way they know if they're interested in the subject matter and tone, or not. And while character creation is certainly fun to do around the table, I do think there is a benefit to doing that with your players one-on-one. That way, when you start the first session, the characters are truly meeting for the first time and building real first impressions. I'm not arguing either way, I just want to say that there are benefits to both. So, as an end to this video, I'm going to leave you with 2 things that I like to include when I host a Session Zero. I ask each of my players to come up with backstory hooks that I can use, but don't necessarily have to. I tell them that their character needs to care about one living person, a specific place, and a specific item. Additionally, they have to have a goal and a nemesis. This ensures that I, as a DM, can engage with their character, and have plenty to motivate them with in the future. Lastly is a fun way to end your Session Zero, and that is with a campaign prologue. I like to do a short narrative scene, setting the stage for what the heroes are stepping into. They may get a glimpse of the villain, or of the last time the MacGuffin was seen or used, or just the state of the world that they're about to enter. The campaign prologue is just a fun way to whet the appetite of your players so that they're excited for that first session. That's my take on Session Zero, guys. It should be fun, it should be a conversation, and it doesn't need to be overwhelming. Most importantly, it should establish the coming campaign as a safe and inviting adventure with clear expectations for everyone involved. That's all for this video. From one DM to another, have a great session. Hey friends, thanks for watching. While this channel is new and currently has limited content, I look forward to adding all of this in the near future. If you liked the t-shirt that I was wearing in this episode, check it out on TeeTurtle. If you want to stay up to date on every video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, you can check out the Center Ring website to purchase my D&D inspired fantasy novels, DM resources, and join our mailing list. Every supporter, sale, and donation makes a difference. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.